What's up, Shocker Nation? Gerig alongside our Director of Athletics, Kevin Saal, as we embark on a new academic and athletic year here at Wichita State. Kevin, this is year 4 for you here in the black and yellow, and there's been a lot of changes to the college sports landscape in that time. I know you feel very positive about where Wichita State is positioned within that landscape. A big reason why is the relationship between this university and the people that support it. What have you seen that speaks to that?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you, and we're obviously blessed to beginning year 4 here at Wichita State. We are incredibly blessed by a phenomenal fan base, a very loyal and passionate fan base for our athletics program, not just our basketball program, but all of our programs. And I think when I think about the relationship between the city and our athletics program, it really starts with our campus is spread out all over the city, and so in that way, the city is our campus. But I also believe that our athletics program is the city's athletics program, and it certainly feels that way. And so when you think back to some major events and stories over the last 3 years, you can think about a softball conference championship that we hosted in Wilkins, where the community surrounded our softball program, and Addison Barnard just absolutely exploded that week. And we made it to the championship game, and it was a special environment. You can think as recently as last year, an overtime win against Memphis for our basketball program, or the K-State win. And then you can even look at some of the external events, Denning. The TBT was phenomenal. We went from a first session that the Aftershocks played in, we had 1,500, 1,600 fans. And the last one, we had 9,200 fans. And I think that is a perfect example of the powerful impact that our community has on our athletics program, and the success that it can have when the community supports it.
Kevin, it's not super easy to be a fan of college athletics at this time and understand all the terms that get thrown around. NIL, rev share, house settlement. What do fans need to know about all these terms and how it pertains to Wichita State, and how the Shockers position themselves to be ready for all these changes?
I really appreciate that question, and I want our fan base to understand that our hearts and our minds are with them as we walk through a very challenging and at times confusing time. I think the simplest way to put this is President Mumin and I have conversations consistently about that Wichita State decided many, many years ago that we were going to have a competitive Division I athletics program. And so that is our North Star as we talk about all the changes that come about as a result of the House settlement. We've got increased scholarship opportunities for young people, nearly 50 additional scholarships for our young student athletes. We have the ability to revenue share. We have the ability to manage rosters that provide great opportunities for our folks. And so through the lens of, we made a decision very long time ago, we're going to be a consistent Division I athletics program. We've been preparing for the last year on how are we going to do that, and how does that relate as the House settlement continued to work its way through to a final state. And it's been a labor of love for us for the last year to position our programs in a spot to be competitively successful.
Wichita State is obviously unique in the fact that it does not have a football program. What kind of opportunities does that provide for the athletic department here at Wichita State?
Denning, I think that is an incredible advantage for us competitively. And I don't think you can overstate this advantage. As we look at the landscape of roster resources and scholarships and revenue share, so many of our peers are investing 75, 80% of the allowable amounts into their football program. And because we're not doing that, we're positioning our basketball program and our other 15 sports as it relates to scholarships, as it relates to roster resources, and as it relates to operational dollars in a position to be incredibly successful based on where our peers are now and where they will be in the future.
Kevin, for a fan who wants to help out the Wichita State basketball program, what do they need to know about the changes that this House settlement has brought about and how they can impact this program moving forward?
Well, first and foremost, the collectives piece has really gone by the wayside. And what the House settlement allows us now to do is to collect and distribute funds directly. And so that piece is really helpful for a lot of reasons, from an efficiency standpoint, but from a fan base's perspective, and from a specific donor's perspective, those are tax deductible gifts because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. And I think that is a huge piece for our fans to understand as they look at their charitable giving annually. The second piece I would share, Denning, is that we understand where we're positioned with our league. Very specifically, we know where we are. And because we're not sponsoring a football program, as we previously discussed, we have the ability to not only take ourselves from the top third in our league, but to lead our league in a very, very short period of time. And I think prior performance predicts future behavior. When you look at our NIL situation in July of 22, as compared to where it is now, we're up over 500% in growth, and we will continue to build and grow that. The goal is obviously to win league championships, but this is Wichita State basketball, so the goal is to be playing the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, and we've got to align resources to that expectation, and I think we're well on our way.
Kevin, if you think about the athletes who will directly benefit from this settlement, what kind of stories, what kind of faces come to mind for you in terms of how this settlement will affect them moving forward?
Well, I think there's one story in particular that really touches me emotionally. And Lucy Ndugu is a young woman on our track and field and cross country program who's had the opportunity to come over to the state. She's an international student athlete. She's on scholarship, and so she's obtaining her degree, and maybe in a way that she wouldn't have been able to without intercollegiate athletics. But her competitive story is really touching, and it means a great deal to me. 2 years ago, she entered the NCAA regional, ranked 83rd in her particular distance race. And she had to finish in the top 24 to get to Eugene, Oregon, which is the national championship in track and field. And she finished 23rd. She made a jump from 83 to 23 in one race. And when she crossed the finish line, it was very difficult to tell the difference between elation and physical exhaustion and anguish. And I think that is a really unbelievable spot for our student athletes to learn and grow in life and in competition, and to be able to celebrate that with her coaches who were right there at the finish line for her, and to celebrate her going to the national championship. Man, that's what we're in this business to do.
Kevin, Wichita State is really unique in how the university, donors, season ticket holders, all rally around athletics. How do you feel like that represents the spirit of the city of Wichita as a whole?
Well, growing up in Kansas, Wichita has always meant to me a very unique spirit. It is a city that fights for success. It's relentless, it's hardworking, it's innovative. And I think it's incumbent upon our student athletes and our teams, our coaches, our staff to honor that and reflect that in the way that we play. And so we talk a lot about that with our student athletes and our coaches, is matching that fight. In fact, we talk about fighting for Wichita frequently, and I think that's very important as we move forward.
Kevin, you mentioned shifting the focus away from some of the negativity that surrounds the players and instead focusing on the positive impacts that they can have for this community. I want to talk about when Charles Koch Arena is full, when X Stadium is full, when Wilkins Stadium is full. What makes those places so special for Shocker fans?
Well, because Wichita is such a passionate community for the Shockers, it makes those venues electric. And electric venues are fuel for our student athletes as they compete at home and they compete for championships. And we don't have to look too far back to just look at the championship game of the TBT at a packed Charles Koch Arena with 9,500 people in it, and the energy that comes from that. You know, I think it's a really important for when we expect the community to invest in the Shockers, well, we also have to invest in the community. So whether that's community service or putting products on the floor that resonate and represent Wichita, there is a two-way responsibility to that. We've got to invest in the community, and the community's got to invest in Shocker athletics for us to be truly successful.
Kevin, Shocker Athletics has been cited as generating upwards of $50 million in economic benefit for this city. Beyond the numbers, though, what does it mean to you to know that Wichita State Athletics plays such a role in the growth and the vibrancy of the city of Wichita?
Absolutely. When the Shockers do well, the city of Wichita does incredibly well. And as you mentioned, this truly is a community asset. It's $50 million of direct economic impact to the city of Wichita through Shocker Athletics. And then you can look at the impact not only to the community, but also to the university. Take a run like our latest Final Four in 2013 that generated over $500 million in earned media exposure for our university and our community. that translates into applications and enrollment. And so there are far-reaching impacts to athletic success. And certainly that's our goal, is to continue to be a great asset for our community.
Setting aside Wichita State athletics for the moment, I want to talk about outside events. Wichita State is obviously a steward for many of those. TBT, high school state track, the NCAA tournament here. What impact did those events have on the operations here at Wichita State?
I think there are multiple impacts there. First off, Brad Pittman and our facilities and operations group does a phenomenal job with external events. There's a priority placed on external events here in a way that I had never seen before prior to my arrival. And you mentioned it, professional softball in the summer, AU softball, the NCAA men's basketball tournament. You know, that's an event that only the Shockers have the ability to host in the city of Wichita. What a galvanizing event for our community. State high school track and field. We had 2 consecutive years of record-setting attendance there. This past year, a little over 31,000. That impacts our community on a 2-day event to about $7 million every year. And so those external events are incredibly important, not only financially for the community, but also for the university, because we're bringing literally tens of thousands of people to Wichita and youth to Wichita and to our campus that will be future students. And so all of that ties into the strategic objectives of campus, what we're trying to accomplish within the athletics program, and that we want to be a tremendous community asset for the city of Wichita.
Kevin, Wichita State Athletics has made a real statement of intent with a lot of capital projects going on here on campus, from Wilkins Stadium to bowling at the Radigan Student Center, X Stadium at Gene Stevenson Park, University Stadium, the list goes on and on. Mm-hmm. What kind of impact do you feel like these projects have on the future of Shocker athletics, and what kind of a message does it send to the city of Wichita as a whole?
Well, I think the message that it sends in the immediate short term to our student athletes is that we're invested in their success, right? Facilities are no different than classrooms on campus in terms of the idea is that you want to be able to recruit the best talent that you can to your institution. And then once you get them here, you want to be able to retain and develop them at a really, really high level and a really efficient level. So that's the message that we're sending to our student athletes, specifically to the community. I think the message is that we continue to invest as a university and an athletics program into our 16 sports program. So you look at Wilkins Stadium, we just opened up a $4.5 million full indoor infield. We're in the midst of a $24 million phase 2 renovation at University Stadium that will result in a premier track and field and hopefully future home for a women's soccer program at Wichita State. We've got improvements to EC. We just opened up the bowling locker room and lounge, which is a premier first-class facility. Denny, I think the greatest impact for me as we work through our facility plan is when we have an opportunity to invite our alumni back. So whether it's our track alumni or we do a groundbreaking ceremony for softball or a bowling reveal, and we see our alumni, who often cases are donors as well to these projects, are emotionally overcome with the investment that we're making in today's student athlete, knowing that we didn't get here alone. Like, we stand on the shoulders of others that have come before us. And I think they recognize that, and they're incredibly happy to be a part of creating a new reality for our student athletes today. And I think that's very special.
Kevin, at the heart of all this are, of course, the student athletes themselves. How do you feel like the culture and the experience that's been built here at Wichita State will impact them, not just as student athletes here, but as young people continuing to build their futures?
Well, Denny, we strongly believe in developing our young people as students, as people, as players, and eventually professionals. And that's why we're here, to develop leaders of character and competence and consequence for athletics. But for the 40 years of professional life that comes after athletics is incredibly important. So if you're a recruit that's considering Wichita State and you hear about all the resources and investments in our young people and the investments in our facilities and our desire to develop you in a holistic way, what better place than Wichita and Wichita State University and Shocker Athletics to do that?
Kevin, I know a big part of your tenure here at Wichita State has been wanting to listen to the fan base here of Shocker Nation. as you've kept your ear to the ground, what kind of things have you heard from the fans, and how do you feel like Wichita State Athletics is going to respond?
Well, first and foremost, Denny, we are incredibly appreciative and grateful for our fan base, and we cannot have success here at Wichita State without them. And so we've got to build and generate a environment where their feedback is valued and implemented. And so that started 3 years ago. We did our fan listening sessions, and we had 170 pieces of unique feedback that we were implementing into our game day experience. The driveway to driveway experience is really, really important for us. Well, one of the things that we've heard, Denning, is that we've got to take a look at our season ticket prices and our seat donations. And while we have held those flat for the last 3 years, this year we're taking a little bit more aggressive approach because the fan base has spoken and we're listening. We are offering our cheapest season ticket in 15 years in a $400 season ticket for a 17 home game schedule. And we're getting ready to announce a single game pricing package that will be our lowest since 2018. So not only have we held flat in the last 3 years, we're actually reducing prices based on our fan feedback. So I think it's really important for us to understand we're in it with our fans and we hear them, and we want to remove as many obstacles as we can so that we can journey together in a really successful way.
Kevin, thanks so much for your time here today. And of course, a big thanks to Shocker Nation for tuning in. We hope to see you at events all across campus this year as we embark on another season of Wichita State Athletics. Thanks so much, and go Shocks.